I've been driving a taxi in Portland for 8 years. Always at night. Always alone. Because the night doesn't ask questions. It just witnesses. I've seen everything in the back seat. Drunks crying over lost loves. Executives running away from empty marriages. Barefoot girls leaving parties that turned into nightmares. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for that night. It was 2 a.m. when she appeared. White dress soaked, mascara running, dead bouquet in her hand. A bride, running. Drive. Now. It wasn't a request. It was a survival scream. In the rearview mirror, I saw a man in a tuxedo yelling her name, running after her. Desperate. I should have stopped. I should have called the police. But something in her eyes told me, if you stop, I die. So I hit the gas. And what seemed like a simple escape turned into the most important night of my life. Because sometimes, when we save someone, the one who ends up being saved is us. This is the story of the bride who got into my taxi at 2 a.m. and changed everything. Portland never truly sleeps. It just closes its eyes and pretends. At 2 a.m, the city is a tired body breathing slowly. Neon lights blinking like irregular heartbeats. Wet asphalt reflecting broken promises. The smell of rain mixed with motor oil and postponed dreams. I was parked in front of a closed bar on Morrison Street, smoking my 3rd cigarette of the night, when I saw her. White dress, soaked, dirty at the hem. She was running barefoot along the sidewalk, holding a dead bouquet in her right hand and the torn veil in her left. Her mascara dripped down her face like melted black ink on a wet canvas. She wasn't a bride coming from a celebration. She was a woman running from something worse than death. She hit the taxi window so hard I thought it would crack. "Open it, please." It wasn't a request. It was a silent scream. I unlocked the door. She got in, threw the bouquet onto the seat, ripped the veil from her head, and looked at me through the rearview mirror. Blue eyes. Terrified. Too alive for someone wearing a wedding dress in the middle of the night. Drive. Now. Where to? Anywhere, just drive. I started the engine, and that's when I saw him. A man in a tuxedo came running out of a banquet hall across the street. He was shouting, "Sarah, Sophia." I don't know, but he was yelling like someone who just lost something he believed was his by right. "He's going to catch me," she whispered, curling up in the back seat. I stepped on the gas, ran the red light at Burnside, then the one at 3rd Avenue. The man faded behind us, shrinking in the rearview mirror until he completely disappeared, swallowed by Portland's darkness. She was breathing fast, panicked. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely fasten the seatbelt. "Are you okay?" I asked. No. Silence. The rain fell harder now. The wipers cut through the water in a hypnotic rhythm, left, right, like a metronome marking the collapse of a life. "Thank you," she said at last. "For what?" "For not asking questions." I looked at her in the mirror. She was staring out the window, watching the city pass by as if it were the last time. As if every streetlight, every empty corner, every cheap motel were a farewell. Who was that man? She closed her eyes. My brother-in-law. The groom? My fiancé died 3 years ago. I didn't say anything. I just kept driving. Because sometimes, in the backseat of a taxi at 2 a.m, people don't want answers. They want witnesses. I got on the I-84 heading east. No destination, just movement. Because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant making decisions I wasn't ready to make. She remained silent in the back seat. The white dress glowed under the yellowish light of the highway lamps, like a ghost sitting behind me. "You must think I'm crazy," she said, breaking the silence. "No. Then what?" "That you're scared." She laughed, but it wasn't a laugh of joy. It was the kind of sound that comes from someone who has cried so much. There's nothing left except cynicism and exhaustion. Scared is an understatement. "Want to tell me what happened?" Silence again. Then she started. "My husband died in a car accident 3 years ago. He owned a tech company. He left everything to me. The house, the money, the shares, everything." Her voice trembled. "But his brother, Marcus, never accepted that. He thought he deserved half, that I manipulated the will, that I never truly loved my husband. And did you love him? With every cell in my body. She paused, took a deep breath. Marcus started showing up at my house. At first it was to help, then to talk about business, then to stay. She clenched the fabric of her dress between her fingers. He began telling me that I needed a man in my life, that I was too alone, that he would take care of me. My stomach turned. I tried to push him away, changed the lock codes, blocked his number. But Marcus isn't the kind of man who accepts no. She looked at me. 2 weeks ago, I woke up in a hotel room I didn't remember entering. I was dressed as a bride. He was beside me, smiling, saying we had gotten married. Jesus Christ. But we hadn't. It was a rehearsal. He had forged documents, rented a venue, invited people who barely knew me. He drugged me at dinner. When I woke up, he said the real wedding would be tonight. She started crying. Not loud crying. Silent crying. The kind that hurts more. I pretended I was okay. I smiled. I put on the dress. And when he left to get the priest, I ran. I looked at her through the rearview mirror. She was small, fragile, shattered. But still, she had run. You did the right thing. Did I? Yes. She smiled. For the first time since she got into the taxi. I parked at an abandoned gas station near Troutdale. The kind of place where truckers stop to sleep and forget life for a few hours. Dim lights, smell of diesel, heavy silence. She stepped out of the taxi. The white dress dragged across the wet ground, leaving a trail of mud and dirty water. She walked to the edge of the road and stood there, staring at nothing. I followed her. What are you going to do now? I asked. I don't know. You need to call the police. And say what? That my brother-in-law drugged me but couldn't force me into a marriage because I escaped in time? They'll laugh at me. Or worse, they'll say I was confused, that I overreacted, that Marcus was just trying to help. But you have evidence. The forged documents. The witnesses he paid. She cut me off. The witnesses who think I'm the crazy one, who think I'm spiraling because I haven't gotten over my husband's death. She was right, and I hated that. So what do you want to do? She stayed silent for a long time. Then she looked at me. Do you have a family? I did. What happened? I lost my daughter 5 years ago. Car accident, I was driving. I don't know why I told her that. Maybe because on that night, in the middle of nowhere, with a runaway bride beside me, lying felt heavier than the truth. She put her hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry. Me too. Is that why you drive at night? That's why I drive. Period. She nodded, as if she understood, as if she knew that some pains don't heal. They just keep moving. I'm going to disappear, she said at last. How? I have money saved. Accounts Marcus doesn't know about. I'll go to another city, another state, another name. And him? He'll look for me, but he won't find me. She got back into the taxi. I stayed there, smoking, thinking about every wrong choice I'd ever made in my life. Then I got into. I drove all the way to Seattle, 6 hours on the road. She slept in the back seat, curled up like a child, the white dress now completely gray from all the dirt. When she woke, it was almost sunrise. The sky was painted orange and purple. Seattle appeared on the horizon like a distant promise. Thank you, she said. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. She sat up. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. And still, you drove all night to help me. Maybe I needed this just as much as you. She smiled. I stopped in front of a bus station. She grabbed a small backpack she'd kept hidden under the dress. I hadn't even realized she was carrying anything. You planned this, I said. I did. For how long? 2 weeks. Ever since I woke up in that hotel room. She opened the door. I knew tonight would be my only chance. She stepped out of the taxi, stood on the sidewalk holding the backpack. What's your real name? I asked. She hesitated. Claire. Good luck, Claire. Good luck to you too. She started walking, but then she stopped. Came back, knocked on the window. I rolled it down. You saved my life today, she said. No, you saved your own life. I just drove. She took a small chain from around her neck. A wedding ring hung from it. Gold. Simple. It belonged to my husband. I want you to have it. Claire, I can't. Please. She placed the chain in my hand. You reminded me that there are still good people in the world, and I need to believe that. She closed my hand around the ring, and then without another word, she disappeared into the crowd at the bus station. I stayed there, holding that ring, feeling the weight of an entire life resting in my palm. I drove back to Portland, alone. The road felt longer without her in the back seat. When I arrived, it was noon. The sun was bright. The city was awake, loud, alive. I went straight to the police station. Can I help you? The officer at the front desk asked. I want to report an attempted kidnapping and fraud. I told him everything, every detail, gave Marcus's name, gave the address of the banquet hall, told him I had been a witness. And where is the victim now? The officer asked. Safe. He looked at me with suspicion, but he wrote everything down. We'll investigate. Thank you. I left the station, got back into my taxi, and that's when I noticed it. The ring. I opened the chain. Inside the ring there was a tiny engraving. For Claire, forever. David. David. I knew that name. I grabbed my phone, looked it up, and suddenly everything clicked. David Morrison, CEO of a tech company. Dead 3 years ago in a car accident. But it wasn't an accident. Marcus had caused the crash. The police report said it was brake failure, but the brakes had been sabotaged. Marcus had killed his own brother, and now he was trying to marry the widow to take the fortune. But Claire knew. She had always known. And that night, that desperate escape in a wedding dress, wasn't just about running from a forced marriage. It was about justice. Because in that backpack Claire carried, there were documents, evidence, recordings, everything the police needed to arrest Marcus. And she used me to witness it, to validate the story, to be the final missing piece of the puzzle. I should have been angry, but I wasn't, because that night, Claire gave me something I hadn't had in 5 years, a purpose. I looked at the ring in my hand, and for the first time since my daughter died, I felt that maybe, just maybe, I could forgive myself. Because sometimes, we don't save anyone. We just witness. And witnessing is enough. 3 weeks later, I was at the same spot on Morrison Street. Same time, same light rain, same cigarette. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Silence. Then a voice I knew. Is this the taxi driver? Claire. My heart sped up. Yes, it's me. I saw the news, she said. Her voice was different, lighter, freer. Marcus was arrested. Formal charges, homicide, fraud, attempted kidnapping. I know. It was you. You went to the police. I just told them what I saw. She laughed. This time, a real laugh. You know I used you, don't you? I know. And you're not angry? I looked at the ring hanging from my rearview mirror. I had put it there the next day, as a reminder. No. Why not? Because you gave me something I hadn't had in a long time. What? A reason to wake up. Silence on the other end. Then she spoke, her voice unsteady. I thought a lot about you. About how you didn't hesitate, didn't judge. You just drove. Sometimes that's all we can do. I wanted to thank you for real. Not just for the 6 hours on the road, but for seeing me. You know? For noticing me when I felt invisible. I closed my eyes. Are you going to be okay, Claire? I will. I'm rebuilding, slowly. But I am. And you? Are you going back to Portland? I don't know, maybe. Someday. She paused. But I wanted you to know something. What? The ring I gave you? It wasn't just David's. It was mine too. We had 2 identical ones made. I gave you mine. My chest tightened. Claire. Because that night, you reminded me that goodness still exists in the world. And I needed someone to carry that for me. Until I could carry it again. Tears burned my eyes. I hadn't cried in 5 years. But in that moment, alone in the taxi with the rain tapping on the roof, I let myself. Thank you. I managed to say. No, thank you. The call ended. I stayed there, holding the phone, staring at the ring swaying from the mirror. Claire was right. Sometimes we don't save anyone. Sometimes we save each other. And on that rainy Portland night, Two broken souls met in the backseat of a taxi and, without knowing, mended each other. I turned the engine on, drove through the empty city, and for the first time in 5 years, I wasn't running from pain. I was driving toward life.